Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel. My name is Ellie, as you probably guessed from the channel name, and I really like journaling, commonplacing, and planning. And I also really like talking about journaling, commonplacing, and planning. So that's what I'm going to do on this channel. Ramble on about the books that I write in. And I might also ramble about the books I read. We'll see. Anyway, for this first video, I figured it made sense to give a brief overview of my current journaling, planning, and commonplacing system. So without further ado, let's get into it. I currently have a 2-book system. Hobonichi Cousin avec for planning, daily journaling, and habit tracking, and an A5 Hobonichi notebook, which is underneath here. There it is. For commonplacing and longer form journaling. Let's start with the Cousin avec. So, full disclosure, I actually started the year with a full year Hobonichi Cousin rather than the avec. And I was loving it. I was so attached to it. I was very proud of the spreads in it. And then, in early April, I had to retire that book after a tragic tea-related incident that left it basically unusable. After that tragic incident, I did a bit of experimenting with different books because cousins are expensive, especially in the UK. So I tested out some cheaper books. For example, I tried the Hobonichi Weeks because it is a little bit cheaper, but I found it a bit small for my giant handwriting. And in general, nothing quite hit the spot for me like my dearly departed cousin did. Oh God, that makes it sound like a human. Wow. I did not mean an actual cousin has died, just to clarify. Anyway, eventually, at the start of August, I caved. I was really missing the cousin's A5 size, beautiful paper, and vertical weekly layout. I'm a sucker for a vertical weekly, so yeah. I got the Cousin avec. It was an excellent choice because I've been loving it so far. It's got plenty of room for my ginormous scrawl of handwriting, which, by the way, a few people on Instagram have commented on my posts and said that they love my handwriting, and that is baffling to me because I've always seen it as so messy. Probably because at school I was told it was so messy. I'm not good at making the letters like the same size, which, by the way, was the autism, but we'll get into that another time, I'm sure. Anyway, this book has got so many different spread types. I'm just in love. And yeah, before I get into what's inside the book, I currently don't have a cover on it. I had a Midori clear cover. I just wanted something simple, but the pen loop broke because apparently the Midori pen loops are smaller than most of the pens I use. It was, let me see if I can find it. Here you go. It was this Sailor fountain pen that broke my pen loop because the lid is too big for it. And also the cover was just, it felt really weird to me texture-wise. And somehow dirt was getting underneath it. It just wasn't working for me. I've got a linen cover coming from the Hobonichi drop just a couple of weeks ago, which I'm very excited for, but it's not here yet. So we have a naked book. Try to avert your eyes. It also has this random lump on it here. I don't know how that happened. And it only happened in the last 24 hours. So yeah. Anyway, on the inside cover, I did a little bit of decoration. Truly a little bit. One vinyl. I don't even think it's a vinyl, actually. I think it's a washi sticker or like a paper sticker. Anyway, I got this. It's a Coffee Monsters Co. sticker, but I got it as a freebie when I did an order from Miso Paper here in the UK. I'll link them and the Coffee Monsters Co. and any other shops I mention in the description. But I really love this particular sticker because it's got so many things I love in it. It's got a notebook, it's got a muffin, and it's got a unidentified bird. What's not to love? So yeah, I think we can move on to some of the spreads inside here. All right, I've put my pen down because I was just going to fidget with it for eternity if I didn't. And I've turned to the first type of spread, which is the yearly. I just use this as a calendar. Super original, I know, but got to have somewhere to write all my important dates or I will forget them. So I've got a little key down here of the different types of things I record in here and the different color coding highlighting that relates to them. I did kind of give up on the highlighting pretty quickly after I did like my initial fill-in. You can see I just didn't do it. Mostly because I didn't actually like how the color scheme turned out. I thought it would be nice to have a really colorful rainbow style thing going on. Turns out that is not aesthetically pleasing to me in these particular colors. I think it's because they're slightly washed out highlighters. Like if it was bright rainbow colors, I'd be here for it. But anyway, yeah, I just fill in important dates in here. Things like birthdays and repeating tasks, repeating cat tasks specifically. Very important. That's basically it for this. I don't really do anything in these boxes at the bottom because I never quite figured out what I wanted to do with them. It happens. Yeah, so that's that. All right, it's monthly time. I've flipped to this month because I actually started using this in a slightly different way this month. So if I'd have shown you last month, it would not have been up to date. I'll give you a brief overview of last month. Basically, last month I was just using this as a habit tracker. As you can see, it didn't go so well. Last month was a bit of a rough one for me. So many of the habits that I wanted to do did not happen. For example, I wanted to do a strength workout every week and I did it once in the entirety of August. These things happen. Basically, my problem is I love having ambitious plans for myself. Here, I wanted to do 3 top priority habits and then 3 nice to have habits. But unfortunately, I frequently seem to forget that my ambitions just vastly outstrip my actual capabilities as a human being. Like, I'm disabled, I have multiple chronic illnesses, and I still expect myself to be able to do all of the things. When most of the time, I can barely do any of the things, in fact. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who can, like, have a job, have a relationship, have a social life, keep up healthy habits, make time for fun stuff, because that could never be me. I can never do all of those things at once. Anyway, all of that is to say, this habit tracking didn't work out the way I wanted because I set too many habits for myself. I also, again, just used my same highlighters as I did in the yearly, and I don't like how it looks. Like, I don't like the clashing of all the different colours and bleh. I think I did this because I now have much nicer brush pens, but they hadn't arrived in August, or at least not when I started. So yeah, last month was just pure habit tracking with a little bit of decoration here and there. Some nice emoji stickers from the Coffee Monsters Co. representing my pain, more pain, and fun things like reading. Anyway, this month I still wanted to track some habits. In fact, a grand total of 1 habit was like a non-negotiable for me, and that is making time every single day to engage with a special interest, because I am autistic. I only discovered this about 3 months ago, so I'm still trying to work out what I need to do to like live a happy, healthy autistic life after like 28 years of not doing that. And one thing that I'm learning is very important is engaging in my special interests every day. They're the things that just keep me happy and energized, and yeah, they're just an important part of my life. So yeah, you can see here, I'm still tracking my special interests every day. Animal Crossing, journaling, obviously. UAPs, bit random. I don't necessarily think UAPs are aliens, by the way. I just think it's interesting that there are these objects and we don't know what they are. But they're apparently important enough for there to be like a full hearing about them in the US. Anyway, this month I'm still tracking that habit, as I say. And I've got a few like nice to haves, but I'm not putting pressure on myself to do them a certain like frequency. Like last month I was like, I want to do this 3 times a week or 1 time a week. Here I'm just like, if I do them, it's great. If I don't, fair enough. Another thing I've added to like this, I guess you could call it just a general tracking page now, because it's not just habits, is social media stuff. So like what I want to post on Instagram. I'm going to post my review today of A Court of Mist and Fury, which I loved. I've got YouTube videos. Hopefully I will post this on Sunday the 10th. We will see. And I've also got health things with little symbols that I've made a little tracker for down here. Because I do, as I've mentioned, have quite a few chronic illness things going on. And I'd like to keep track of when they flare up. Luckily, I haven't had too many flare-ups so far this month. I had like a mini migraine yesterday, but painkillers got rid of it, which is nice. And I track my fatigue levels because that's a permanent struggle for me. with a different number of Z's depending on their level of fatigue. Yesterday was kind of like a midday. Today, I'm really sleepy, to be perfectly honest with you, but it is what it is. And yeah, I'm also tracking my mood with just like a little smiley face or a sad face or a kind of neutral face. I don't ever really know what time of day to do it though, because sometimes my mood changes. As you can see on Monday, I went through just like the full spectrum of emotions on Monday. So yeah, still trying to figure out a way to like succinctly sum up how the entire day was. I don't know. So yeah, that is how I'm currently using the monthly, and I do actually like this a lot more than just habit tracking. I quite like having a lot of data here. And I also like decorating in a more themed way, because as I say, this was just, I have highlighters, let's use them. This is, it's autumn now, let's go all in with the autumn aesthetic. Anyway, I think that's that for the monthlies right now. I do have this little section at the bottom for reflection on kind of how the month went. Last month's was, I was too ambitious because I was so unwell. So we'll see what this month brings. But I think it's time to move on to the weekly spreads, which, I love the weekly spreads in the Hobonichi Cousin. I'm so excited. So here is last week in my Cousin. I use this page basically to track the basics of what I did and what happened. I include at least 1 or 2 emoji stickers from the Coffee Monsters Co. every day, because I think, first of all, they just look cool, but also they give a really nice visual of the most important things that day, like wanting to destroy my alarm clock or having a nap. Also lots of Animal Crossing. I've been really into Animal Crossing again. I sometimes add washi tape at the top here. This week I actually haven't. I felt like a break from it, but this particular week I did. I love this one, the space one. Again, I will link where I got that from in the description because I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I then divide the day up into morning, afternoon and evening. Just have a bit of structure. I love some structure in my life. And I kind of draw a little line in a colour that corresponds with the washi tape. One of the reasons I love this tape is it's got so many different colours in it. So many different options. I went with orange this time. And yeah, I just write in my appointments for work and personal stuff and then take some notes about what happened. As you can see, sometimes the notes are very short. Exhausted, in a bad mood. Antibiotics are making me nauseous. That was a great time in my life. But yeah, it's just a nice way for me to look back and remember what I actually did from day to day. Because I don't always remember if I don't write it down. And yeah, I really love this setup. Like, to be honest, when I first got this, I wasn't quite sure what to do. You can see from this spread, this was the first week I used this book, and so many different things are going on here. I started off with like, maybe I should have headings for what I'm doing. And then I realized I do the same thing all the time and it just looked weird. So then I thought, okay, maybe I have headings for morning, afternoon, evening. And then I realized I can't be bothered to write the full word out every day. So I went with AM, PM and evening. And at first I did track bedtime as well because I was having issues with sleep and getting to bed on time, but I don't do that anymore because I get to bed on time, which is quite nice. Yeah, I think that's everything to say about these. I'm going to do a full flip through of all of them so far in a later video. But yeah, I love using these, and I think it's one of the reasons why I just gravitate towards the Cousin, because I love how this looks. I love the verticals, and I love the emojis. But yeah, genuinely, that is it now, I promise. And we can move on to the daily pages. So before I actually get into the daily pages, I want to show you what I did with the turning the page pages. I made a little mixtape of all my favourite songs so far this year. A lot of Taylor Swift in there, as is the case every year, but also some Gracie Abrams and a lot of Florence and the Machine, who I kind of rediscovered this year. I was a huge Florence and the Machine fan like 10 years ago, and then they kind of dropped off my radar for a bit, and then earlier in the year I was just like, wow, they're still incredible. So I listen to them all the time now. Anyway, I love music. It's a huge part of my life. Not playing it because I'm completely musically untalented, but listening to it, it regulates me. It's just great. So I wanted to have some kind of spread in here dedicated to music, and here it is. All right, now we can move on to the actual daily pages. As I kind of alluded to, I didn't start this book until August, so July's are not really filled out. I just use it as a pen test set of pages or some notes, because I just couldn't be bothered to go back and backfill a whole month worth of stuff. And to be honest, I couldn't remember what happened, so it wasn't going to work out well anyway. So let's flick forward to some I've actually used. Here we go. Oh, I love these. The colour scheme turned out so well. Anyway, so I use the left-hand sidebar of each daily page as a gratitude log. This is something that I'd heard about so much because through the nature of my work, I come into contact with a lot of non-fiction books, and a lot of self-help books tell you to practice gratitude because it's going to make your life better. And I just ignored that for 3 years until I got this book and I was like, I'm going to give it a go. Like, it seems fun. And I can confirm practicing gratitude has made me happier. How long I make the log kind of depends on how good the day was. Some days it's more of a challenge to be grateful. And so on those days, I actually use the full sidebar because I feel like the days when you're struggling are the days when you most need to remember the good. And then if I've had a good day, I will not use the full sidebar and I'll decorate there. These 2 pages have sticker decoration on them. These little circles are from Stick with Kate, who I love. She has an Etsy shop. It's amazing. These are from a random Japanese company that I got through a British company on Etsy. Again, I'll link all the places where I get my stickers in the description. Other than the gratitude log, I just use these as, I want to say bullet journaling because there are literal bullet points, but it's not really bullet journaling, is it? It's just daily journaling, just literally writing the events of what happened that day. I don't tend to do much deep reflection in here, that's in my other book. But this is just logging what happened so I can remember. I do really try to record all the good things that happen, even really small good things, because in past journals, I had a tendency to only write when I felt rubbish and only write about bad things. And I don't think that was good for me. Now, that is not to say that I ignore the bad things when they happen and don't write about them because, you know, I feel like you should make an honest record of your life. I don't want to pretend that everything's perfect. But for me, I just need to make sure that I don't go too far with the negativity and remember the good stuff too. But yeah, that's how I use these pages. Again, I'm going to do a full flip through at a later date, but I thought I would show you that I don't always decorate with stickers. Yesterday, I did a little doodle of some amazing cake I had at Olive and Bean in Newcastle with my friend Ruby. All right, I think that is everything to show you in this Hobonichi Cousin of Vec. I love this book, I really do. I have ordered another Hobonichi Cousin for next year, the full year one though. I do prefer full year just because I don't want to have to like write out all my dates and calendar stuff twice. I'm really lazy. So yeah, looking forward to continuing to use this for the foreseeable future. And now I think we can move on to my other notebook. All right, number 2, my commonplace notebook. I'm going to make a whole video about what commonplacing is and like the history of it because I find it really interesting. But the brief kind of introduction is it's the practice of copying down or printing out information and images that you like, that resonate with you, that you want to remember, that you want to kind of comment on yourself. Like if you have read something interesting and you want to like write your thoughts on it, that's what you do in a commonplace book. I will talk more about my journey of how I started commonplacing in a different video. I will say before I get into this that what I do is kind of influenced by a few creators I've seen. One is Megan Rhiannon, who does extremely beautiful commonplacing videos. I haven't fully adopted her system because she has like a dot sticker categorization system that I don't use. It just didn't work for me when I tried it. I also am really influenced by Theory of Lauren, who doesn't necessarily call what she does commonplacing, but it's similar in vibe, and I think what she does just looks beautiful. So, all of that aside, let me talk about this particular book. It is an A5 Hobonichi notebook in this beautiful botanical illustration design. I have decorated the covers of this one a bit more than in my cousin, so I'll show you that. She says, opening a blank page. I promise I have. All right, I've got here one of Megan Rhiannon's gloomies that she designed with regards to notebooks. I stuck one on the front kind of inside cover, and I've got the other one on a back inside cover. I wanted to have them both, kind of like as journaling talismans, I guess. I also have just my favourite sticker of all time. I've stuck this in like 3 different notebooks, and every time I like cut it out again and then transfer it to the next one, because I just love it. Because cats do rule, and the patriarchy does rule. What more can I say? What do I use this book for? I'm glad you asked. A lot of different things. So I first of all use it to collect information. So if I scroll, God, that's how you can tell I'm terminally online. Talking about scrolling a book. Right. This is a good example of the first way I use this book, which is to record information, as I say. I write down quotes that resonate with me. I usually find them on Tumblr. And yeah, I write down quotes. I, in theory, would write down information that I've researched that I find interesting, but I haven't actually done that yet in here. I've got a lot of things that I want to research, but I just haven't had the energy or time to do it. So hopefully in future flip-throughs, you'll see some notes on like books about autism that I want to read, or history books that I want to read. But for now, there aren't any examples. On every page, I do a bit of decoration as well. You can see here, these are some stickers of the moon. I love the moon. Don't think I need to say more. It's a beautiful celestial body. Got some Roman emperors here. And as I wrote, no relevance, just vibing. I just thought they looked cool. And an album cover of Florence and the Machine's Dance Fever. Excellent album. Anyway, yeah, that's usage 1, is quoting things. Usage 2 is writing my thoughts on information, which I've done here. I wrote like this big tangent about how the song Mirrorball by Taylor Swift reminds me of autistic masking. And it's a great song, just saying. So yeah, it's almost like writing an essay about something you care about. I'm trying to think of have any other examples, but I don't think I do right now. Oh, I do, and it's another Taylor Swift excerpt. Great. I wrote about how another one of her songs resonated for me. I really like Taylor Swift's music. So yeah, that's another use, is just writing my thoughts about a particular piece of media or excerpt. I also use this to review media, specifically books for the most part. Let me see. I think I like the latest spreads better for that. Here we go. Most recent entry, in fact, is my book review of A Court of Mist and Fury. So I have a particular setup for all of my reviews. I put the book cover here, top right-hand corner. I write the number of the year it is. I've read 23 books so far this year, which I'm really happy with. According to Goodreads, I'm 3 ahead of schedule. Obviously, I write the title, I write my rating, and then kind of my big picture thoughts on the book. And finally, any quotes that particularly resonated with me. So yeah, that's another big usage of this book for me. I haven't actually read that much recently, which is, again, a lot to do with me being unwell. But hopefully, for the rest of the year, I'll catch up, because I've got so many good books on my shelf that I want to read. I've got Passing by Nella Larson. I've got Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. I've got so many like books about autism that I want to read. Oh, just so much to read. And the rest of this series. But anyway, I also do music reviews sometimes. And by sometimes, I mean if Taylor Swift releases an album, which she has already once this year, and we're going to get another one. Good times. But yeah, when Speak Now Taylor's version came out, I wrote a massive review of every song and what I thought of it. Another thing I use this book for, beyond the media-related stuff, is engaging with special interests. As mentioned, this is very important to me. And I will show you quite a cool spread, I think, that I did, where I actually, here we go, wrote down all my current special interests and ideas for how to engage in them. Because, as I say, I only recently got diagnosed with autism, so it's kind of been a real learning curve, and I kind of found out from the very start that, yeah, you should engage in your special interests, but I was like, I don't know what that looks like for me. So I kind of wrote a page about it, ideas of what to do in my daily special interest time. I'm thinking that, obviously, the more I use this book, the more I'll have specific pages about specific interests. Like you can see, I've already had a few about Taylor Swift. I want to do a big write-up soon of my Animal Crossing island that I'm working on. Maybe some bits about the birds I've seen in the garden recently, but I'm not up to date on this at all. I've got a lot I want to write about and I haven't had enough time to do it yet, so we'll see. All right, the final thing I use this as is a long-form journal where I do the kind of stereotypical journaling of writing about my feelings and writing in depth about things that have happened to me. I really did not journal for a very long time, actually, when I was ill. Like 13th of August right through to 4th of September. But I'm going to try and write in here, if not every day, then most days. Almost as like a morning pages-esque practice. I think it helps me every morning to just sit down, process what I'm feeling, particularly because I have a lot of weird dreams and nightmares. So like getting that out before I start work is a good idea. So yeah, I'm going to try and get into that practice. I have not done it this week because I've been too busy. But next week will be the week when I start my daily / almost always daily practice. All right, that is all I've got for you today. I hope this was interesting, or if not interesting, at least entertaining. If you have watched to the end, thank you. I will hopefully see you next week with another video. That is the plan. One a week every Sunday. We will see if I stick to my plan. I rarely do, but this time I will. All right, thank you and goodbye.